Hey guys, Lewis here, welcome back to another video. This is 20 facts that you never knew about Leeds United. Hope you enjoy the video, let's go. 20. Leeds had a football club before Leeds United. In 1904, the city's first football club was formed. It went by the name of Leeds City Football Club. During the First World War, the club ensued a number of financial irregularities, which included illegally paying their players, amongst other things. 8 games into the 1919-1920 season, the club was expelled from the Football League after failing to cooperate in an FA inquiry and refusing to hand over their financial records to the Football League. To this day, they remain the only club ever to be expelled from the Football League mid-season. This forced the club to disband, and following its demise, Leeds United were formed. Next year, in 2019, Leeds United will celebrate 100 years of the club, which will tie nicely with the Football League celebrating 100 years of corruption. 19. Leeds United's home wasn't originally called Elland Road. Elland Road was originally called the Old Peacock Ground, named after a pub called the Old Peacock, which still exists today. It remains in the same position outside the south stand of the stadium. It was around 1899 when the ground simply started to be known as Elland Road. 18. Leeds United's record transfer fee for an incoming player is £18 million. In 2000, the club signed Rio Ferdinand for £18 million from West Ham United. He signed on a 5.5-year deal for £30,000 a week. At the time, he not only became the club's record signing, but he was also the most expensive footballer in the United Kingdom, as well as the most expensive defender in world football. 17. Leeds United's record transfer fee for an outgoing player is £32.5 million. In 2002, the club sold Rio Ferdinand for £32.5 million to their biggest rivals, Manchester United. At this time, football was less about money and more about loyalty, so the supporters of Leeds United went on to hate him for his betrayal. 16. Leeds United's youngest ever professional player was 15. Peter Lorimer was just 15 when he made his first professional appearance for the club, and to this day it remains the club's youngest ever professional player. 15. The record for the most goals scored by a Leeds United player is 238. Peter Lorimer scored a total of 238 goals between 1963 and 1985, and to this day holds the record as the club's all-time top goal scorer. 14. The record for the most appearances a single player has made for Leeds United is 773. To this day, Jack Charlton holds the record for the most appearances as a Leeds United player, playing a total of 773 games for them between 1953 and 1973. 13. Elland Road's record attendance is 57,892. The record attendance at Elland Road is 57,892 for an FA Cup 5th round replay between Leeds United and Sunderland in 1967. 12. The Kaiser Chiefs are named after a football club. The Kaiser Chiefs are a famous indie rock band from Leeds, well known for hit singles such as Revie and I Predict a Riot. They formed in 2000 going by the name of Parva, but in 2003 they decided to change their name to the Kaiser Chiefs, naming themselves after a South African football club. The reason behind this was that in 1994 Leeds United signed Lucas Radebe, a centre-back from Kaiser Chiefs who went on to become a club legend known as the Chief, and so the band formerly known as Parva renamed themselves the Kaiser Chiefs after his former club. 11. In the 2016-2017 season, Leeds United didn't win a single game in their all-yellow third kit. Leeds United played 3 games in their all-yellow third kit during the 2016-2017 season, but failed to win any of them, losing the first game 3-0 at QPR on the first day of the season, losing the second game 2-0 at Brighton, and drawing the third game 1-1 at Wigan on the last day of the season. Furthermore, had they won 2 of the games that they lost in the all-yellow strip that season, they'd have finished 6th instead of 7th, securing a playoff place with 1 more point than Fulham. 10. The record for the most league goals scored by a Leeds United player in a single season is 42. In the 1953-1954 season, John Charles scored a total of 42 league goals. To this day, he holds the record for the most league goals scored in a single season for the club. 9. The most caps a Leeds United player has ever had is 61. Lucas Radebe had 61 caps for South Africa during his 11 years at Leeds United between 1994 and 2005. 8. The record for Leeds United's best league victory is 8-0. During the 1934-1935 season, Leeds United thrashed Leicester City 8-0 in a thrilling Division 1 fixture at Elland Road. To this day, it remains the club's record for their best league victory. 7. In the 1996-1997 season, Leeds United were only awarded one penalty. The club only had one penalty throughout the entire 1996-1997 season. It was awarded during a Boxing Day fixture between Leeds United and Coventry City. Gary Kelly took the penalty but failed to score as it was saved. Coventry won that game 3-1. 6. Leeds United haven't postponed a home game for over 20 years. On February 11, 1995, Leeds United were due to play Ipswich Town in a Division 1 fixture at Elland Road. The game was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch. Since then, the club has gone nearly 24 years without postponing a home game. 5. Leeds United were the first ever club in world football to sell replica kits. In 1973, Don Revie had an idea. As a way to make more money, he proposed that the club should make and sell replica kits. The club liked the sound of the idea, and so with the help of Admiral, they made it happen. It made the club a lot of money, and other clubs across the world soon followed. 4. Out of the other current 91 clubs, Leeds United have only played 89 of them. Currently, out of the other 91 clubs, AFC Wimbledon and Crawley Town are the only two not to have ever played Leeds United. The clubs have never met competitively or in a friendly as of yet. 3. In 1992, Leeds United played Stuttgart 3 times in 23 days and wore a different kit in every game. During the 1992-1993 season, Leeds United played Stuttgart in the first round of the Champions League a total of 3 times within just 23 days. Normally there would only be 2 games, which is obviously 2 legs, and the aggregate score would determine who progresses to the next round. Stuttgart won the first leg 3-0 at home, Leeds won the second leg 4-1 at home. The score on aggregate was 4-4, but Stuttgart had already won on away goals, therefore Leeds were out and Stuttgart were through. Or so you'd think. At the time, you were only allowed to field 3 foreign players in the European match, but in the second leg, Stuttgart had fielded 4. Leeds contacted UEFA about this, and despite the efforts to have Stuttgart disqualified, UEFA decided to change the score of the second leg to 3-0 rather than 4-1. This meant that on aggregate, the score was now 3-3, and the clubs would have to play a third match to determine who would progress to the second round. The third match had to be played at a neutral venue, that being the Camp Nou, the home of Barcelona. Leeds won 2-1 on the night, meaning that they'd go through to the second round, winning 5-4 on aggregate. The club had also played each game in a different kit, wearing all blue in the first, all white in the second, and all yellow in the third. A truly bizarre series of events. 2. Don Revie sent a pile of Leeds United kits up in flames. In the 1970-1971 season, Leeds United played Stoke City away. They could neither play in white or yellow, so instead they had an orange third kit made especially for that game. It would be the first time in the club's history playing in orange, and the last. They lost 3-0, and following the game, Revie, being the superstitious man that he was, gathered the orange kits together and had the pile burned. The kit was never seen again. 1. Leeds United and Huddersfield Town almost became one club. During the demise of Leeds City, there was another club in Yorkshire who weren't doing too well financially, Huddersfield Town. Their chairman, Hilton Crowther, had spent a lot of his own money on the club yet made no profit. In fact, if anything, he was losing money. And before he knew it, him and the club were in a financial crisis. There weren't enough fans coming to the games and the club wasn't making enough money. At the same time, with Leeds City now dead and buried, Leeds United were being formed. Despite not even having a Football League status yet, the support for them was already better than the support for Huddersfield Town. This impressed Crowther and he saw an opportunity. Huddersfield had the talent and the Football League status, Leeds had the support. So, without consulting anyone else at Huddersfield first, Crowther offered to amalgamate Huddersfield Town with the newly formed Leeds United. Had they have become one club, the amalgamation would have seen Huddersfield Town's players, Football League status, supporters and staff all join Leeds United, and the home of the new club would have remained Elland Road, technically leaving Huddersfield without a football club. In Crowther's head, it was the perfect scenario, and money-wise it was, but remember what I said about loyalty meaning more than money back then? Well, within just days of the news, thousands of Huddersfield supporters invaded the Cowshed's pitch, protesting the decision. As good as it sounded financially, the top and bottom of it is that Crowther basically wanted to move Huddersfield Town into Leeds United, leaving Huddersfield without a club, and the supporters weren't having any of it. The protests resulted in Crowther giving the supporters of Huddersfield Town an ultimatum. Either they raised £25,000 within a month to buy him out of the club, or they would have to move into Leeds United, and the Football League approved this. Within a month, only £17,500 had been raised, though after further negotiations, Crowther agreed to take the money and sell up under the condition that he was paid a further £12,500 when possible. After this was agreed, he left Huddersfield Town and became the first chairman of the newly formed Leeds United, and focused all of his efforts on them. So there you go, 20 facts that you never knew about Leeds United, though I admit there are probably some of you out there that knew at least a few. If you are one of those people, let me know in the comments below. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Follow me on Twitter, like the Facebook page, the social media links are in the description. Thanks for watching, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.